Trump is now turning to his next big legislative goal. That is a fundamental rewriting of the entire US tax code with a couple of goals in mind. One is to give a massive historic tax cut to the richest individuals and biggest corporations the world has ever seen, because they've been hurting recently, and while also bankrupting the US government. So that'll be very nice for him if he can accomplish it. We're gonna break down all the details as we have for what feels like 2 years now, what his goals in terms of taxes are, but we wanna show you a little bit of his announcement today where he talked about his strategy going forward. Here is Donald Trump.
Must dramatically simplify the tax code, eliminate special interest loopholes. And I'm speaking against myself when I do this, I have to tell you. And I might be speaking against Mr. Cook, and we're both okay with it. Is that right? It's crazy. We're speaking, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, you know? But we're doing the right thing.
That's an absolute lie. One of the taxes that they're going to cut through is called a pass-through tax. And that is how Donald Trump has almost all of his money funneled to him. So that way he pays lower taxes on it. And he's going to cut that tax. He's an absolute 100% liar. So this tax cut is for the enormously rich. It's for multinational corporations. And yes, it's definitely for Donald Trump. So he'll brag about, oh, I'm not taking my salary as president, which is $400,000. The amount of taxes that he'll save, if he's right about his wealth, which is of course not true. He claims he has $10 billion. It's not remotely true. But if he's right about it, he could save up to $1 billion in taxes.
Yeah.
So another gargantuan Trump lie.
Yeah, let alone killing the estate tax, which is one of their goals. That certainly could save his kids $1 billion or more. Yeah, like he lies. We all know he lies. He's been lying for years. We've heard thousands and thousands of lies, and we point out why they're lies. We show the facts, and it doesn't convince anyone. And so I get that. But if you believe that he would pass a bill that would harm himself financially, you are too stupid to be left alone with a TV. I don't think it's safe for you to be watching TV by yourself. How could you possibly believe that? Maybe one component of the bill will hurt him by 15 bucks, and then he'll cut his corporate taxes to basically a third of what they are now, as we're gonna lay out, saving himself millions of dollars. The people who laughed in the crowd are not laughing at his joke. They're laughing at the stupid people who will believe his lies. And so I hope that nobody watching this does. But we got more Trump for you. Before we go to more of his loopholes and the plan and all that, they've been previewing that they're turning now to taxes. So in an interview with the Financial Times last week, the economic advisor Cohn said that the White House and GOP leaders have agreed on a quote good skeleton for a tax overhaul, and said that the House Tax Writing Committee would be drafting legislation while the White House tries to sell its plan. Which is interesting because this reminds me a lot of the push for repealing Obamacare and trying to replace it, where he gives these like sort of vague ideas of what he wants, and then he puts it on the White House, on the House. And that's interesting because theoretically they might share a lot of goals, but if you're in the House, it might be concerning for you based on what happened with the healthcare debacle, because of course, he insulted the plan, saying it was without heart and it was mean, and throwing under the bus the very people who were trying to pass a bill that did what he wanted. And so in a breakdown in Politico, talking with some of the people who are gonna be doing this drafting of the bill, people said that there are questions over whether the White House will embrace the legislation that eventually comes out of the House effort or distance itself as critics and special interests start getting louder. And if you were alive during the healthcare plan battle, why wouldn't you believe that he would do that? And the idea is that he's gonna be standing back and trying to sell the plan, using the bully pulpit and going around the country. But we saw with the healthcare, like he largely forgot what they were even talking about during that time, and he left them out to be skewered.
Yeah, so look, guys, this is a false debate. There's this whole drama about will this pass or will this not pass? And I remember even before our public debate, Ben Shapiro said, and he said it during the debate as well, oh, no, it definitely won't pass because there's too much opposition and there's just no way to blah, blah, blah.
The tax plan won't?
The tax plan, you're nuts. Yeah. It will definitely pass. So it'll pass with Trump or without Trump. The only person who could blow this tax cut is Trump with his grotesque incompetence. But even if he were to, after he leaves, Pence will pass it. So the question isn't that. The question is, are they going to have to settle for a multi-trillion-dollar tax cut and get some corporate Democrats to back them? And will they think that that's a better strategy? Hey, let's not get too greedy. Let's take just a couple of $1 trillion from the American people and do wealth redistribution to the top. That way we'll get a couple of our lackeys in the Democratic Party to go along with us, and it'll definitely go through. Or do we go for the gold here and go for like the $7 trillion tax cut? And that might be a little bit harder. That's the only question, not whether these donors are gonna get paid off, because that's the whole point of buying this Congress and buying Trump. This is the swamp monster, and it shall have its way.
Yeah, and look, this is, I mean, before the election, this is one of the main 4 reasons that under no circumstances could Trump or any Republican get in the White House, is this tax reform, because it is the gift that keeps on giving. It is the foundation that underlies all of their other goals. I mean, if you can take $8 trillion away from the federal government, then you are requiring cuts to government programs of a sort that we've never even imagined before. And they are not going to be coming from conservative priorities. They are going to decimate every progressive achievement over the past half century, and they will have to have anything close to a balanced budget going forward if they're able to pass this. And I agree, it will be interesting to see how greedy they get, because they have been salivating over these massive tax cuts basically since Bush, since they got other massive tax cuts. And there's a lot that they want. I mean, they want to get rid of the estate tax. They want to cut business taxes down to almost nothing. They want to cut the top tax bracket down significantly. And they could go for all of that and probably still get 1 or 2 Democrats to go along with it. Or they could simply destroy the federal government, get trillions, and there would probably be a significant amount of bipartisanship in that, which is unfortunate.
Okay, by the way, this is not tax reform, these are tax cuts. If it was reform, it would be revenue neutral. It is not going to be anywhere near revenue neutral. In fact, Paul Ryan gave up and said a couple of weeks ago, yes, fine, it will not be revenue neutral. He was pretending all the way to the end that it was gonna be that way, and then all his donors pulled him aside and said, no, on this one issue, we're definitely with Trump. Make it as severe a tax cut as you could possibly make. And it doesn't just destroy progressive priorities. I mean, Social Security and Medicare are 77% and 84% approval. Social Security at 84%, they're gonna cut it, because you can't.
I count those as progressive priorities that the American public doesn't realize how progressive they're on.
Yes, and they love those. And will you get relief from natural disasters like Hurricane Harvey? Not if you don't. The federal government has no money. So
there will not be a single food stamp in the country after this.
Yeah, and beyond that, it is wealth redistribution. Now corporations will pay even less. They used to pay 35% of all taxes back in the 1950s. Now they're down to 11%. This will bring down to maybe 5%. Who pays the tax? You guys do. The middle class pay it through a payroll tax, which keeps getting larger and larger. When they say tax cuts, they don't mean for you. Most of the time it winds up being tax increases for you guys because of how the tax pie gets split up. When corporations pay less, you pay more. So this is a way of doing wealth redistribution for the richest people in the country, and that winter is definitely coming. If you like the Young Turks, you'll love Young Turks membership. TYTnetwork.com/join.